Hello, my name is Adrian Thompson, and I am DES's Chief Equity Officer. As your Chief Equity Officer, I hope to embed equity and inclusion into our culture so that not only our staff, but also our customers are able to engage with us as their authentic selves. Although we have some substantial work to do, I'm very excited and hopeful that we can do it together. Last year, President Biden made Juneteenth a federal holiday, and this year we'll be able to celebrate this holiday together for the first time. I say together because, as you will hear later, African Americans have been celebrating this for a very long time. Today, I'm going to talk to you briefly about some history, a bit about celebration, and I'm going to tell you what it means to celebrate Juneteenth. The celebration is important. This won't explain all things to help individuals who are not familiar with Juneteenth to come to fully understand it, but it'll be a starting place. I will also be holding a space later in the week for us to come together and have a more in-depth conversation about Juneteenth. I also look forward to that conversation. But today, I want to spend the rest of this time talking about what it means to celebrate Juneteenth. Juneteenth is sometimes thought of as the last date that slavery for all people were officially ended in America. On June 19, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, to inform the enslaved Africans of their freedom and that the Civil War had ended. The holiday received this name by combining June and 19. The day is also sometimes called Juneteenth Independence Day, Freedom Day, or Emancipation Day. We are currently celebrating a day commemorating the last freed day for African Americans that happened over 157 years ago. It should be clear that this is not a new celebration for Black Americans. It is only new, as I said before, to some. This brings us to the heart of the issue around celebration, especially in the hearts and minds of Black people. To understand what and why we celebrate, we must talk about the ways of Africans, and the evolution of Black tradition. The African word Sankofa literally translates into "it is not taboo to fetch what is at risk of being left behind." Not taboo. So in other words, it's good to go back and get what we might have left. The concept of Sankofa teaches us that we must go back to our roots in order to move forward. Specifically, Blacks should reach back and gather the best of our past and what it has to teach us so that we can achieve our full potential as we move forward. Think of this idea visualized as a large tree. The roots are our past, the tree is our present, and the fruits are our future or our potential. It has been said that slavery severed Blacks from our roots, separated us from our history, and now Blacks live in an unrealized life that is only defined by our past enslavement. The idea of Sankofa actually counters this. It says whatever we have lost, forgotten, or been stripped of, by looking back, we can reclaim, revive, and preserve. August Wilson, a Black playwright, best known for his unprecedented cycle of 10 plays that chronicles the 20th century for African Americans. Right? He named that cycle, or he named it the Century Cycle, right? And what Wilson said is that if you put all of his plays together, you would have not Black history, but history. He claimed that he wrote about the Black experience in America and that this was human experience. Wilson gives us an interpretation of Sankofa in one of his plays, Two Trains Running. Wilson recreates a scene from the late 60s, a time of violence and racial confrontation. The play, set in Pittsburgh restaurant, is symbolically placed between what he would call life, which is a meat market, and death, which is represented as a funeral home. Many have said that this play was Wilson's attempt to address to the youth, Black youth, or younger generations, right? He was telling them to go back and pick up the ball, right? So he uses this character, Aunt Esther, and she's in most of his plays, and she actually, in the realism of his plays, is a surviving slave, right? She represents the embodiment of all African wisdom and tradition. And she talks about going back to move forward. She tells one of the characters, if you drop the ball, you have to go back and pick it up. There's no need to continue to run because if you reach the end zone, it's not going to be a touchdown. You have to have the ball. So a proper celebration of Juneteenth is one of looking back, understanding that history is the ball or what might be left behind. When Blacks look back, what can they find that's in the past that can be restorative or even worth celebrating? If we know that deep in the tradition of Black life is the practice of looking back, then we can start to understand that it's not just the looking back that gives us strength. It is also what we find. We find what our people did. Let's re-examine the end of slavery. If Blacks were merely just celebrating their freedom, then what we would find is a great emancipator, a struggle with ideas of slavery, slowly making the moral decision to free the enslaved, and that slaves took no part in fighting for their own freedom. It is important to remember that it was the slaves themselves that forced the hand of the country. So when Blacks look back, when we go back to pick up this ball, we see the first reason to celebrate: the power of the formerly enslaved to fight for their freedom. Another reason to look back is to inform ourselves with the falsehoods of the past. So we look back to learn the true history of this country, to keep false narratives at bay. Lastly, we look back to understand the importance of making place or placemaking in the Black tradition. Juneteenth is remembered in a place of Galveston, Texas. How does one location become a placeholder for a Black celebration? Transformation of space by the enslaved is now known as placemaking. Black placemaking fights this negative portrayal of Black spaces and brings light to the relationship between structure and agency, between domination and resistance. Blacks remember Galveston not to commemorate the end of slavery, but to transform that space as well as others into places to live and have a life. Blacks have always transformed their environments into spaces for living and healing. A part of Juneteenth celebration is celebrating our linked fate, the notion that individual outcomes are based in the well-being of the group. What we see in Juneteenth is what we see in many Black holidays: Blacks creating sites of endurance, belonging, and resistance through social interactions with each other. This placemaking allows for Blacks to transform places by ascribing them with new interpretations, meaning, and cultural significance. So when you celebrate Juneteenth, don't just celebrate symbols of history or put an overemphasis on current traditions found in the present. Celebrate the strength of Black people to survive. Celebrate the tradition of looking back. By looking back and getting what you might have left behind. Although I have been talking about Black people, I have not been talking about Black history. As we know, Blacks have played a huge role in democracy, freedom, and American greatness. When we gather with our people, we touch the source. The source is our transformational power through our social interactions. The best way to ensure this power remains is to maintain our social interactions and our sacred spaces through reunions, gatherings, and celebrations. Now, as a federal and state holiday, we ask all of America to join with us in looking back, gathering what we might have lost, and touch the source of our greatness, which is our people. Because what Blacks transformed was not just slavery into a livable nightmare, Blackness into a talisman to protect the soul. We transformed America. And so when you look back with us, to come in contact with the source, with an open mind and a willingness to link our fate, your fate to ours, we can move forward and reach the goal together. So I hope that you will join me in celebrating Juneteenth this year. Sure, find folks to celebrate with. Think about what you can do, but do look back and go get what might have been lost to you. If you do not know the history of this country as it pertains to Juneteenth or the lives of Black folks, then go look. If you do not know the history we might have forgotten when it comes to other marginalized identities, then go look. Celebrate by going back to see what we don't know, what we left, so that when we arrive in this future together, we have the ball. Thank you.